Okay. Okay. Say the Chavra, we're going to begin now. Welcome to the camera. We have a new addition to the Fartzim Katzvi Tevel. Continuing in the first halacha in the Rambam in Hilchos Melech HaMashiach that we began discussing a shtickle last week, or 2 weeks ago rather. So the opening of the Rambam is Hamelech HaMashiach Osid Lamed. So we discuss what it means. The chal that is lamed, that a yamid melech mebeis David, a king arises. What does that mean? He's not a king yet. Fine. How's the Rambam continue? Malchus beis David leyoshna hamemshal harishayna. This is Nekuda Aleph, and then he says ubayna Mikdash. So what we want to talk about today is the meaning of this var, the ubayna Mikdash. So it may be a topic which is already discussed. You may have heard of already, but we've never discussed it here, and there's what to discuss. So, of course, there's the shaila that we all grew up with, that the Beis HaMikdash is going to come down from Shemayim. Yeah? That not Moshiach builds the Beis HaMikdash. It's not that we're going to gather at Yerushalayim and start building with hammers and everything. Rather, it's come to... The gates. So that's one of the answers that's offered. We'll get there in a moment. The famous Gemara where this is discussed, this idea, it's a Rashi, it's a Tosfos, it's a Gemara Mefurashas, is a Masechta Sukkah Daf Mem Aleph. The Gemara says that Takana of Rabbi Yochanan, after the Churban Beis HaMikdash, Rabbi Yochanan was very famous for making these Takanas throughout Gaul, so we should remember the Beis HaMikdash and all kinds of Takanas. So he made a Takana, which the Mishnah says, Yom Hanef Kulei Aser, which is that the new wheat which is planted, you're not allowed to eat from the grain until you're makriv the korban oimer, which is the second day of Pesach, Tez Zayin Nisan. Fine. However, the pasuk says be'etzem hayom hazeh. One pasuk says be'akriv chemes when you bring the oimer. One pasuk says when you hit the day of Tez Zayin. What's the answer? Which one is it? The answer is when there's a Beis HaMikdash. That's whenever you bring the korban. That's when you could eat the wheat. When there's no Beis HaMikdash, what's the halacha? When there's no Beis HaMikdash, it's when the day arises. Right? So the question is that the Yidden, when the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, were allowed to start eating the wheat immediately when it turns the day of Tez Zayin. Comes along Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, I assume. Yeah, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, of course. And, this is Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, not Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish. It's much later. And he made a takana that Yom Hanef Kulei Aser. You can't eat the whole Tez Zayin. Why not? So the Gemara asks, why not? So the Gemara says that maybe the Beis HaMikdash is going to be rebuilt. And the Gemara says, and therefore people are going to make a mistake. Because last year we always thought the dawn arises for breakfast of Tez Zayin. We always traditionally ate oatmeal and fresh wheat, and now it's changed, and no one's going to know the difference. So he made a takana for 1900 years. We're still keeping the takana. Yom Hanef Kulei Aser. Frak the Gemara kasha. What are you talking about? When's the Beis HaMikdash rebuilt? If it was built on Tez Zayin itself, and it already became permitted, because it was before the Beis HaMikdash was rebuilt, already the morning it was already permitted. The new grain. If it was built before Tez Zayin, right? The Gemara says then you definitely don't have to wait past Chatzos, because it's famous the Bezdin. That's even Bizman Beis HaMikdash Shekayim. Even when the Beis HaMikdash was around, you didn't have to wait till the end of the day. You could assume the Bezdin took care of it before Chatzos. So Vasepes he made the Yom Hanef Kulei Aser, the whole day is Aser. And for the Gemara, then maybe the Beis HaMikdash is going to be rebuilt that night. The night before Tez Zayin. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai made this takana for the chance that maybe the night of Tez Zayin, that's when the Beis HaMikdash is going to be rebuilt, or the day before Tez Zayin, right before Shkia. What's then? Because apparently, in order to prepare the korban omer, you need a lot of preparations. Because there's a special way to do it. You have to roast it on a very special sieve, and you have to let it dry out for a few hours, and then you have to grind it in 13 different ways. So even if the Bezdin's on top of their game, it's going to take past Chatzos, and you have a problem. Frekt Rashi Akasha, you can't build a Beis HaMikdash at night. B'yoyim hakim es hamishkan, you're not allowed to build a Beis HaMikdash at night. So what's the Gemara talking about, B'chlal? And Rashi says the day also. What's the day before Tez Zayin? Tez Vav. What's on Tez Vav Nisan? Yom Tiv. You're not allowed to build a Beis HaMikdash on Yom Tiv. Ein Binyan Beis HaMikdash Deicha Shabbos, not Deicha Yom Tiv. Like you may be familiar with the Limudim from the Pesukim. So what's the kavanah? So Zakt Rashi, because the Beis HaMikdash that we're waiting for is Bondu Yom L'Mayla. It's going to come down from heaven. And Taisus agrees with him, and that's Pshat in the Gemara. Fine, the other Rishonim we'll see. But in any event, this is a source. So the question is that Amam apparently Latin Shazai. So we're not going to get into how that Am learns Pshat in the Gemara, because there's other ways to learn Pshat in the Gemara. But you have over here two different Nekudas. And so someone mentioned before You mentioned the gates, right? So the Rebbe has a number of answers in different places, and let's discuss the answers. I've seen 4 answers b'Pal that I found in the Likutei Sichos. Answers the Rebbe gives to be metavich to connect these 2 pshatim that they're not really arguing so much. So one place is in Chelik Yud Aleph Likutei Sichos, Parshas Mishpatim. The Rebbe quotes the medrash that you were quoting. It says in Eicha Tavu Ba'aretz She'areh that these are very, very special, holy, miraculous gates. I don't know where these gates are from. Maybe from David HaMelech, whoever it was. We say Maisa Moshe Nitzchim. Maybe David HaMelech. I think we say a similar concept about David HaMelech, that whatever he touches is eternal. In any event, these gates, these special gates, sunk. They weren't captured in the conquest of the Babylonians, and Tavu Ba'aretz She'areh. So the Rebbe says that what's going to happen is the Beis Hamikdash is going to come down from Shemayim, and the gates, which are going to reappear, we're going to put them in the Hemid Hadlasis, and it's going to be as if you built the whole thing, based on the halach in the Gemara in Bava Basra, where the Gemara basically says that what happens if a guy dies who's a ger, and he has no yarshim, so so we say, a guy comes and he takes the property and the stones in the property, and he builds a palter in Gedoyla, a massive palace, the Gemara says. I think it's Ayin Gimel, I might be mistaken. And he misses the last thing he never put in a door. Comes along a second individual, puts in the door, the house is his. That's the house. He probably has to recompensate the guy for his work, just like anyone who does work for you, benefiting you. But it's yours, because the guy was never kind of the. By what was he kind of the property? Generally speaking, in order to be kind of real estate, you have to do a chazakah. What's a chazakah? So the Mishnah says, no'al v'gadar, you close it, you guard it. Right? So like the Rashbam explains over there, he says that tchilas binyan eino ikr. That's not the ikr, because only once it's done could you actually live in it. Without a door, let's say you have a house without a door. No one's living in a house without a door. Elegmare zakta Rashbam. Like we learned no'al v'gadar. The Hainu, how do you make a chazaka only through closing a door or finishing it? The Hainu hamadas delases avo bana kolshehu loikatani zakta Rashbam. It never said in the Mishnah that if you build a binyan in a guy's property, you're kind of the property. Only the gemara of the property. Al derech over here, the binyan beis hamikdash zakta Rebbe based on that gemara, based on that Mishnah, without the doors, you don't really have a beis hamikdash. Maybe you have a makim hamikdash, you have the mizbeach. But to say you build the Beis Hamikdash nish, that's how the Rebbe is metavich. L'chayda, what the Rebbe is suggesting in the Gemara in Sukkah is that the Beis Hamikdash is going to come down from Shemayim, and it's going to be missing doors. So Api Allah, you bring the carbon, right? You can bring the carbon because you have the mizbeach and you have what you need to have. But right, but so that din is going to be. But we're going to be missing the doors until Moshiach comes and places the doors. It sounds very symbolic, also, by the way, of the Avodah. Because really, that's the Avodah of Klal Yisrael in general. It says in many places that the Eibishter Be'etzim feared out. He gives us, without you, nothing happens. So we do like the Gemara, right? We do, the Eibishter gives a little room for us to do something, and Mashiach really represents Klal Yisrael. So the Eibishter gives us the Beis Hamikdash, right? But he, representing what we've been accomplishing all these years, that we were Shutzim in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ma'aseh Bereishis, Mashiach puts in the doors, very beautiful, so we have the binyan of a Mashiach building the Beis Hamikdash. Fine, fair enough. A few halakim later on the Likutei Sichos, yeah?
Just he thinks on Yom Tov, it's still a problem. Even though Beis Hamikdash comes down whole, complete.
We're not going to be putting in the door on Yom Tov, we're not going to put the door in on night. Exactly, yeah, you're not allowed to put it in. That's what I'm saying. The Beis Hamikdash is going to be without doors, and that's the Rebbe's answer, Pashtus. Then in Chelik Yud Gimel in Parshas Balak, these are all ha'aretz in the end of the Sikha. The Rebbe mentions, the Rebbe gives a bracha. So he mentions a Rambam, and then the Rebbe throws in a ha'ara. So here the Rebbe does the same thing, a ha'ara. The Rebbe says the shit of the Rambam is mukhrich, the Rebbe says in this ha'ara, Parshas Balak. It's mukhrich. Why? Because there's a ganze ma'isa, which we're not going to mention, but Bekitzer, about 200 years after the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, there was a permission from a Roman emperor to rebuild the Beis Hamikdash. A ma'isa in the times of Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya, 150 years after the Churban. He's famous in Roman history. He was the one apikoidus. After the guy made the empire Christian, there was one guy who was, and he was amazing for Yidden. He loved Yidden. He was a terrible thing. He died in a war early, and he was a good guy for the Jews. So the kid said he was the Trump of his day, and he told them, build the Beis Hamikdash. Why not? And they were all going to build it, and Bepoil, he died, and then the Romans stopped, and Yidden were thinking of making another revolution. Right, because they were so upset that they were here to build the Beis Hamikdash, and now they have to stop. They felt terrible. So, but what do we see? If the Yidden had a tradition, that the Beis Hamikdash is coming down from Shemayim and they received this from the Nevi'im and from Moshiach and from whoever, right? Then what is this? What are they? They're going to build a Beis Hamikdash. The Rebbe says it's muchrach from that Ma'aser, Rabbi Shimon Chananya, the shit of the Rambam, that the expectation is that it's going to be built by man. It's going to be built by man. That's what they went to build a Beis Hamikdash. Right? In other words, it's not a tradition that's coming down from Shemayim per se. We see a Ma'aser Av almost. Ma'aser is always a story that happened, but Pe'el Mamish is always the most the reliable thing that you could have. So the Rebbe says that we could be metavich to my Mari Chazal. The Rebbe writes in the Ha'ara, based on the famous sugi in Sanhedrin, and of course we already know where the Rebbe is going, Zachu and Loi Zachu, where we metavich all kinds of things. If the Yidden are Zoiche, then we get it from Shemayim. If we're not Zoiche, then this, and the Rebbe says, "V'haramam l'shitase." Famously, like we mentioned, who knows how many times over here, that the Rambam's not mentioning in Yonim of Zeicha because that's not none of his business. Because he's referring to a scenario if every single Yid in the whole world is Freivi de Golos, no one's doing anything they're supposed to. Hashem promises he's going to bring Mashiach. The Rambam tells you what has to happen, and what Mashiach is. Right? If the Yid happen to be Zeicha and the Eibishter makes crazy nisim, he could do whatever he wants. Like the times of Yeshua, like who knows what. The Eibishter, the Rambam is saying what Mashiach is. Definition-wise. So Akapanim, therefore, the Ram Shishita is not referring to Zachu. Zachu is a beautiful thing. Pshot Mikra is this. Derech Agav, the Rambam doesn't stam say Yidden are going to build the Beis Hamikdash. He says Mashiach's going to build the Beis Hamikdash. So it's very interesting because in the story of Rabbi Shua ben Chananya, it was the Yidden building it. So Pashas you could say it was before the halacha was paskant. The Rambam has sources, there are midrash, and there are places where it says Mashiach's going to build the Beis Hamikdash. Before the halacha, the halacha is different. They thought they could build the Beis Hamikdash. But the Rebbe is just bringing a raya from there that they, as far as they're concerned, it's going to be built by man. It's not. They're not expecting a Beis Hamikdash to come down from Shemayim. That's a great question. But l'chayr over there wasn't even Mashiach leading it. There wasn't Mashiach character. They were just going to build the Beis Hamikdash. But what you're saying is a very critical point also. And in fact, later on when the Rambam mentions Mashiach build the Beis Hamikdash, he adds a word. He says, Boina Migdash bimkoimoi. So the Rebbe has his remez that he's meramis to in Beis Rabbeinu, the Kuntas Beis Rabbeinu Shababavel. But the Rebbe in the Ha'ara there writes that what's pshat bepashtus? It doesn't mean bimkoimoi in 770 in Beis Rabbeinu. Bimkoimoi, the Rambam means bimkoimoi in Har HaMiri and Yerushalayim. That the Rebbe writes in the Ha'ara. So what does it mean bepashtus? So the Rebbe sends you to a letter that we discussed already a few times from Bein HaMitzarim in Chav Zayin, where the Rebbe basically over there, the Rebbe wants to say that the measurements of the Beis Hamikdash are exact. Yecheskel gave us shiurim exactly. If you study Yecheskel from Perek Mem on, he goes through exactly where everything is, and we just don't know where it is. So the Rebbe suggests over there that this is one of the simanim of Mashiach. Mashiach tells you exactly bimkoimai, where the location of everything is supposed to be, b'meduyik. Right? We have no way of knowing. Mashiach is about, just like Al Derech the Rambam writes in the beginning of Bayir Sheni, the second Beis Hamikdash, that there were 3 Nevi'im there, right? One of the Nevi'im's jobs was to tell them exactly the makim of the Mizbeach. Because like the Rambam says, it's very, very exact, the place of the Mizbeach, and if it's built not in that place, it's not Nishkim Mizbeach. So Mashiach, the Rebbe says, one of the simanim of Mashiach is that he's Baina Bim Koimah, in the right place. Which is Al Derech, the point you're saying, that not necessarily is Mashiach sitting there building it, he's directing the project, right? However, he's also giving us information that we would never possibly know. We'll see in a second, not only Mekoimah, but one of the pratim he does give us is Mekoimah, the exact dimensions of where exactly the Eibishter wants you to build Beis Hamikdash and where Yecheskel, where exactly everything is. Moving along, fine. So this is another answer, Zachu and Loi Zachu. Now, Nakuda is Azoi. We all know in the 3 weeks, and hopefully, and also another time of the year, there's a different Haydah of the Rebbe, less famous. But anyways, there's a time where we learn about the Beis Hamikdash. And the Rebbe says to learn Masechta Midas is a whole Masechta of how the Bayis Sheni looked. The question arises that what happened is history. Who cares how the Bayis Sheni looked? It's not real, it's a nice piece of information, but is it Mamish Torah? What's the Nekuda? So the Rambam writes in his Pirush HaMishnayos, he says, "V'hateyeles sheyesh be'inyanahu." What's the teyeles? What's the gain? Why? Ki k'sheyibana beis b'mheida v'yameinu. When the Beis Hamikdash is rebuilt, b'karim mamish yesh lishmer v'lases hatavnes hahu. We have to open up the Mishnayos and build the Beis Hamikdash based on what it says in the Mishnayos over there. Right? Why? Why is it so important? So the Bayis Sheni was built up in Ruach HaKodesh. It says, Hakil, Biksav, Miyad Hashem Olay. His skill, Eibishter, told him how to build a Beis HaMikdash. We have to learn it and know it and build it. Fine. Comes along the Taisus Yom Tov and says that what the Rambam himself writes in Hilchos Beis Abchida, that it's not clear how to build the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi from Yechezkel. The Pesukim are not clear. And that's why when they built the second Beis HaMikdash, he says, they did some things from Yechezkel. They didn't know how to do it. Right? So what's the Rambam saying? That we study how the Bayis Sheni looked and we'll know how to build the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi. What's he talking about? Right? There's no way to know. Evert the Taisus Yom Tov, Avol Mikol Makim, nevertheless, the Roiv the Ikrei HaBinyan, most, the majority, and the Ikr of the Binyan is based on the Tavnis Asasher Hiskil David that he already gave us, that we have, that we know of, from the Mishnah, from David HaMelech, the Lo Yimait, and this is not going to falter, this is not going to end. This is how the Roiv the Ikr. So the Rebbe has a sikh, and the Rebbe says in Parshas Maseh Chelik Yud Ches, look at this sikhs. The Rebbe says, L'chayda, once we already need Hashem anyways to reveal to us major parts of the Beis Hamikdash, so l'may nafkamina, let him give us everything, right? What's for Amaisa? So the Rebbe over there says a Geshmak Var. The Rebbe says it's the mitzvah tzmidis. It's a constant mitzvah to build the Beis Hamikdash. We're mechuyev right now. Us in this room, mechuyev to build the Beis Hamikdash. Now the problem is we can't. We don't know exactly where. There's Arabs there also, not a problem, right? But the thing is we can't do it exactly. So the Rebbe says, but what do you have to do when you have a mitzvah? You have to call a toli boy to be mekayim the mitzvah. The Rebbe says, right? So the Eibishter made it that we should be able to be oisik in the binyan because kol ha-toli b'Yisrael, do everything toli in us. As zol zayin greit should be ready. Umezol kenet boy and taketh. Right? Every second matters. The moment Mashiach comes, we should be able to build it. What? As soon as possible, we should be able to build it. In other words, basically, we say like, why do we study Chassidus? When Mashiach comes, we're going to have the aha moment. This is what I learned about. Someone who's seeing it for the first time, they're learning it, so it takes them extra time. This is what we've been studying and koching in already for years, so we know what's going on. Over here as well, it's like the Taisus Yom Tov himself writes. He writes that the Taisus Yom Tov said that if we wouldn't have had the Sefer of Sefer Masechta Midas, if we wouldn't have known the Sefer, he said, Lo yimatzanu yadeinu v'ragleinu ba'isei habinyan ha'asid sheyibanav imhedav yimenu. It would have been so difficult for us to chap what Mashiach wants from us. What's going on? Once it's clear already, so the Rebbe says, the Eibishter made it this way that we should know how to build the Beis HaMikdash because we're being mekayim the mitzvah. We have to do everything dependent on us. The moment we have the opportunity, we should be able to build it quicker, and we know exactly how to do it and where to do it, etc. The Rebbe goes on in this sikha, but the Rebbe says, based on this vart of the Taisus Yom Tov of the Rambam Be'etzim, that there are parts of the Beis HaMikdash that we're going to build, and then there are parts that we don't know what to do. So the Rebbe says, Kemen Zogin, this is the answer of what Mashiach builds versus what comes down Mamayla. That what we build is whatever we're able to build. Mamayla comes down the parts that we don't know what to do. Right? Then that part comes down the Maila. My only problem with, and then the Rebbe gives another answer there, that the truth is we build the entire thing, but then like the Eish on the Mizbeach, which joins the Eish that we light on the Mizbeach, we light a fire and then an Eish comes down from heaven. The Beis HaMikdash of heaven comes down into the Beis HaMikdash that we build to give it the Nitzchias and the eternity and so on. The problem with both of these answers, both of these don't have a shaykhs to the Gemara that we learned in Sukkah, because both of these answers are assuming that we're building the Beis HaMikdash, right? And then the Eibishter is coming to be mashlim, or he's coming in Gansen. But the story in the Gemara was it's coming down in middle of the night, or it's coming down on Yom Tov. So the Rebbe is just being matavich the Medrash with the Rambam without actually getting into the particulars of each shita. In conclusion, the Rebbe has a sikha in the Parshas told us Chelik Lamid. So the Rebbe brings the vart of why L'aseh Lavei Dafke the Beis Hamikdash is Mamayla, and the Rebbe speaks that since the avoid of Golus is Kabbalas Il, and Mashakana Evet Kana Rabbi, Kabbalas Il means that it belongs all to the Eibishter, to the Master. Right? Why? It's this famous concept in Chassidus, because when our own yeshus is mixed in, then it's not completely Hashem. We're not completely bottled. It's even when you love Hashem, it's you loving Hashem. Even when you want to do the avodah, it's you want. You're the one. It's like you almost decide who cares what you want really. The highest level is Kabbalah Sil, because the only one who matters in Kabbalah Sil is the Adin. He wants, and therefore it's actually a Maila. You actually don't want, and still you don't have a choice. So Imamish, the Eibishter, you're so bottled. The only one in the picture by Kabbalah Sel is the Eibishter himself, which is why we built Binyana the Kuchabrichu, that Rebbe says, because by the Bayis Rishon and the Bayis Sheni, since they had a Havana Vasag, great depth in their knowledge and the greatness of Hashem, which brought them to love and fear, the person's Metzias is mixed in. Golus Kabbalah Sel, that's the Binyan, that's Hashem's Binyan. It's not our doing, it's Hashem's doing. He says, and we follow, but it's not us. We're not building Binyanim. And therefore, that's why we're going to be Zoycha Dafke, that we get the Beis Hamikdash Mamayla Binyanim de Kuchabrichu, because it's representative of the Avodah of Golus, that it's Hashem's Avodah almost. The only one in the picture is Hashem. We're so bottled. We're much more bottled than them, because we don't do it even though we don't want to. The only one in the picture is Hashem. We do it because we're truly bottled. We have Kabbalah, so the yoke of heaven. Efshar Kemenzagin, Stama thing I was thinking based on that it says that the last door it's going to be either Kuli Zakai or Kuli Chayiv, right? So the Chayda, you could say, according to what the Rebbe is saying, the only way you could be Kuli Zakai is if you're Kuli Chayiv. You need to be both, actually. Why? Remember we said that Zochu, if we're Zochu, Zakai comes from the word Zochu. Same thing, right? His Dachachus, that you're transformed, right? In other words, if you have Havana Vasaga and if you have Midas and Das, then you can't be Kule Zakai. It can't be Binyana the Kuchabrichu. It can't be Hashem's Binyan. Only if you're a person who has living in Ikvis and the Mashiach, you have no Havana Vasaga, you have no real Ava V'yira, V'chulu. Only if you're Kule Chayiv could you be Kule Zakai. Could it be Mamish Binyana the Kuchabrichu? Could be Take Zoicha. So we're Kule Chayiv, we're Kule Zakai, and we're Zoicha the Binyan B'Samilish Hashlishi, which is going to come down Mishamayim in all the different Eifanim, and it's going to be in a beautiful way. Moshiach now.